Hello everyone, I hope this video finds you well on your journey to recovery. So in this video, I wanted to map out the journey of recovery as it relates to that tricky topic of setbacks. If you're watching this particular video, it might just be good general awareness, but you may be watching it because you feel like you've taken a few step backs, you're going backwards. You might be having those anxious thoughts, will I ever recover? The techniques that you've talked about in your previous videos, Sam, won't work for me. I've tried them. Maybe you had some success, but the old thought patterns are coming back in. You're feeling rough, you're feeling edgy, the adrenaline surging a bit, and you just feel like you're going backwards and perhaps there's no hope. And so that's what we call a setback. If you're feeling average, you feel like you're not making any progress, the fear is there underlying the anxiety or the panic or the OCD or the phobias, whatever it might be that you've got. And so I guess in terms of the journey that you're experiencing, this is actually a really good sign. So at the moment, the body represented through the subconscious mind. So we're going to talk about the brain a bit here. So that 90 to 95% of the brain's power is the subconscious or the unconscious mind. It's starting to push back, particularly if you're new on your journey. It's going to say, Sam, look, you've been thinking anxious thoughts for weeks, months, years. You've been getting involved in the voice of doubt, all the what ifs, the fears, the phobias for so many years, and now you're trying to change. So you've got all these well-worn anxiety or red neural pathways in the brain, neural networks that have been activated and used many, many, many times. So the synapses between those connections are very strong. And so effectively, we've got these unconscious anxiety programs playing in our mind, which of course is normal. But the problem is that they're entrenched, they're strong, and they're wired in such a way that we feel, therefore, that we need to keep using those pathways. And the unconscious mind is not the part of the brain I'm talking to now. I'm talking to the 5% of your conscious mind. It's unconscious, so it acts on autopilot. It's the same part of the brain that keeps your heart going without you having to think about it, that keeps the lungs going without you having to think about it, keeps digestion going without you having to think about it. So we want all those unconscious programs to do their thing without any conscious thought, because we can't possibly, organize all those things. We can't get our cells to regenerate. We can't drive a car without having to think about every single instrument or pedal we've got to push, or steering wheel we've got to turn. It happens sort of automatically. So these autopilot programs are really useful. We never want them to stop. The problem is we've learned over the years unhelpful anxiety-based programs. So just like we don't want the heart program, the autopilot heart program to stop anytime soon, it takes a while to then go in, which is what we're doing through all this video series, the letting go technique in video 4, understanding the education we're doing, not taking the thoughts too seriously. We're actually reprogramming over time. So we're forming new neural pathways corresponding to calm thinking, to not taking thoughts so seriously, to sag through tension, to relaxing when the voice of doubt comes up, all these things that we're doing to go and reprogram the subconscious mind to calmer, anxiety-free, hopefully, ways of thinking. But that will take time. And the body will push back because the body doesn't want to let go of, the essential programs. So if we try and stop an unconscious program, the unconscious mind doesn't know if it's an essential program or an unhelpful one. It has no discernment. It's just like a tape recorder. It's learned this and it's accepted it as truth. So it's going to push back if we try and change it, which is sort of what we want the unconscious mind to do. We want it to protect these autopilot programs, but when it starts to protect the unhelpful ones, that's when we hit a setback, because the body starts to go into a bit of chaos. The adrenaline starts to surge. The body tries to make us feel uncomfortable. So we go back to using the old program that's been playing for so many years, those old neural pathways, which we're trying to change over time. And so that's why it feels hard. That's why we feel like we've taken a few steps back. We're sitting on the couch, we're feeling rough. We've decided we're getting involved in our what ifs. because that's what the body is doing. It's tense, it's tired, it's fatigued. So it's actually a really good sign. The body needs to go through this setback challenging process in order to recover. So we need to let these programs play. We need to let the uncomfortable feelings that come up when we're in a setback do their thing. We need to treat a setback like anything else, not take it too seriously, not look too far in advance, not judge our journey, not compare ourselves to others. We just treat a setback like any other anxious thought and know that it's actually a good sign we're making change because we're actually rewriting the programs in the subconscious mind and the body's pushing back. So we just have to stay the course through these moments because the adrenaline, as always, will subside. The cortisol stress hormone will also subside and we'll start to feel better. So we do the exact same thing. We use the letting go technique when we're in a setback. For as long as it takes, we must be patient with time. Not force it, not rush it. Just let the setback be there for a day, 2 days, a week if it needs to be. We can't force any of this. But it's an absolutely good sign of the change process. When we actually stay the course through a setback and still practice, watch the videos, sag through the tension, that's where we start to make real change. Often what we do is we hit a setback, go to old ways of thinking, reach for our comforts, go to the sugar, the coffee. We try and just madly distract ourselves. And that's when we actually do get off course. What we have to do is recognize this is a normal part of the process. It's a good sign that you are coming up against some change, but it will be uncomfortable. And that's all we really have to think about and understand. So I hope that helps. I hope this is a nice reminder video for you on your journey in a setback. I encourage you to watch video 4 again. To remind yourself of what you need to do to practice through these anxious times or when these anxious thoughts are active and circulating in the mind. And of course, watch all the other videos again to remind you of why you're doing this. Because when we're in a setback, we do need to go back to basics sometimes. Why am I anxious again? What's going on in my brain? Why is this happening to me? Why am I taking my thoughts so seriously? All the good stuff that perhaps you've already listened to and maybe has slipped out of your mind while you're in this setback. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the video and I will try and address them on future videos as we all hopefully move forward closer to that recovery moment. I wish you all the very best.